Hi, kids.
Yay!
Welcome to another episode of Bad Pop Song.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
No surprise, another movie episode.
Of course. Never gonna get away from it, no.
Well, there's stuff to see and plenty of things to watch. I am Bo.
Hi, Bo.
Also with you is your very friendly, very likable co-host, Dan.
Lies. But I am Dan. And I'm going to tell the future.
Ooh.
You, after watching this video, are going to go to badpopsong.com. Well, you will enjoy it.
Aww.
You will check out previous episodes of this very, very show. And you will watch all the videos of Bo singing his heart out and thoroughly like them. And you will also read all of his reviews and other musings and be amazed at his talent. All things Bo at badpopsong.com.
Indeed. Thank you for mentioning that, because I do have a recent write-up, a written review as that I'd like everyone to read. So yes, I also want to mention, if you can't see it, I can see it. I'm looking at Dan's crystal ball right now, and I can see part of it. And I am also seeing all these thumbs up, likes, and subscribes. So yes, if you are watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe Bad Pop Song.
It makes us feel good.
All right.
And don't you want that?
Oh, hey, it's all about feeling good, feeling groovy. So, Dan, I got a question for you.
Okay.
How much do you know about the film Saturday Night?
Is it all about how it's all right for fighting?
Cute, very cute. No, not this particular Saturday Night. So, is that a no?
I know nothing.
No,
about
nothing.
This.
Oh, okay. Saturday Night is a film about the hour and a half before the premiere of Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
on October 11th, 1975.
Okay.
Yeah, it is a dramatic reenactment of all of that. And
Okay.
trust me, it's all about everything, that like when there's a chance something could go wrong. There's a small chance that really something bad could happen, go awry. Well, this is anything and everything happened.
Oh, jeez. So you're dealing with live theater and live television. So there's, from both fronts, all kinds of things, technological and acting wise, that could go wrong.
Oh yes, and it all did.
Really?
Yes. And the running time is an hour 49.
Relatively real time of leading up to the show.
Yes, and it is just chock full of just things going amiss, and
everything that goes wrong can go wrong and will.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. I had no idea it was such a kerfuffle to get it on the air.
It definitely portrays Lorne Michaels having his challenges for sure, and everything sort of up against him.
Okay.
And, the network seemingly against him, at least the higher ups.
Oh yeah,
in NBC.
It's unproven talent or something to that effect.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yes. So, where can I begin for you?
Well, I mean, who's making this film?
It is. This film was made by Jason Reitman.
Oh, cool.
Yes, of course. We all know who he is. Cool Canadian, son of Ivan. Ghostbusters Afterlife. Juno, Thank You for Smoking, Up in the Air.
Very talented filmmaker in his own right.
Very, very talented. Very quite established at this point in his career. Yes, made by Jason Reitman, and stars Gabriel LaBelle as Lorne Michaels himself, And if you're familiar with Gabriel LaBelle, he's probably up to this point his more known performance is in The Fablemans.
Oh, okay.
Yes, Sammy Fableman he played. So the young filmmaker.
Okay. The based heavily on Spielberg.
Yes.
Okay.
So Rachel Sennett is also in the film. She plays Rosie Schuster, who at the time was Lorne Michaels' wife, and she also served as a writer and producer on the show very early on in those first seasons. And the 5 original cast members are also all portrayed in the film.
Oh,
yeah. Chevy Chase, Gilda Radner, Dan Aykroyd, Lorraine Newman, John Belushi, Garrett Morris, Jane Curtin, all featured. And they are, each one of them, you really get a peek at what they're experiencing and what they're going through as the premiere episode is coming together, and sort of how they all fit in, and how they're feeling about being a part of all of this. And yeah, you sort of also, you get a little bit of what they were sort of doing at the time,
right,
when they were picked, on the show for
Saturday Night Live.
So
most likely struggling actors of some kind, or something to that effect.
Yes, and particularly the way John Belushi and Garrett Morris are portrayed in the film, they are definitely having a hard time figuring out sort of why they're there and how they fit in, because you know what, Garrett Morris especially, he's trained from Juilliard, he's been on the stage at this point, and he's just wondering, am I just like the token black dude that they picked for this? And the John Belushi character also he just sort of feels like, I'm above this. Why do I have to dress up like a bee? Why do I? And of course, there's very strong like contention between him and Chevy Chase too. So it's like
battle of the egos, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean that early on too. As young as they were, they already had very strong egos and personalities, and I guess that's what takes to be a successful.
A lot of people have said Chevy Chase is pretty much an asshole.
He's a little more charming. The way he's portrayed in this film, he's a little more charming. There's the arrogance is there, but it's a charming kind of arrogance.
All right.
So,
are those the standout performances?
There's so much to talk about in this film, which I think is kind of one of the problems with it. Like, I like the film. I give it like a solid 3 stars out of 5.
Okay.
But it's just too chock full and jam packed. There's just too much, and
you think it needs more breathing room than just the hour and a half that it's?
No, I think the hour 49 minutes is a good amount of time. I just think it was just a little bit cluttered. It just felt a little cluttered.
Too many plots going on at the same time.
But yeah, well, just plots. Just seeing everything that was happening, everything that was going wrong.
How much of that is just because the scene, I'm sure, was chaos leading up to the actual premiere? Just trying to make sure everything's in place, everything is working, all the people know their lines and are rehearsed, and just a lot of things to worry about. Is that just sort of conveying the chaotic nature of live television like that?
Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, I think that's definitely what Reitman was trying to do with the film. I mean, you pretty much, he was showing everything that was going on and happening in real time, as you say.
That's the fascinating part about it to
but
me.
again, I think maybe one or two things they didn't need to include. Yeah. It just made it too cluttered. It made it felt a little messy at times.
Does it have enough opportunity for some of the plot lines or characters to really develop them at all, or is it just very superficial?
Oh, no. There's definite plot development. I mean, you get as much from these characters in that short amount of time that you can, because it's an ensemble picture.
Yeah.
Although Gabriel LaBelle, Rachel Sennett, they probably have the most screen time in the film, but everybody's featured. Everybody's interacting, and the interaction between the five originals. There's, in that short amount of time, there is enough character development in each one of them. You sort of get a peek of what they're going through.
Right.
Yeah.
From what you're describing, it's giving me that sort of noises off vibes. It seems like those of you who are familiar with the play and the movie, it's sort of giving you a snapshot of just live theater and the relationships between the people and the chaos that surrounds it, because they're all messing up. How much of that is sort of, I mean, is this a very farcical movie?
It's not farcical as far as it is presented, as if these things actually happened,
as factual.
Yeah, it's factual. Yes. So I mean, in that regard, no, it's not farcical, but no, I mean, it is. But no, is that physical comedy in it. There's just so much in this movie, just so much. It's almost like they put in what was really famous and what made like pop culture history in those first few seasons of Saturday Night Live, and like shoved it into this 1 hour and 49 minutes.
Oh gosh.
So as far as like nostalgia, as far as like those of us fogies, who were around, 50 seasons ago, and those early seasons, for those of us who've been around and remember all that, the nostalgia in it is that presses like all of our buttons like that. I think that's the strongest part of the film.
Were you even old enough to stay up that late?
I watched Saturday Night Live. I did not. I was definitely too young to watch that first season.
Okay.
But by the time Bill Murray was on there, I'm thinking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so I was at least 7 years old. I think by the time Bill Murray came on the show. I remember staying up late and watching.
Wow.
I remember Dan Aykroyd being Jimmy Carter. There was a sketch with like Dan Aykroyd, in the 3 Mile Island thing, and there's Jimmy Carter, and and he goes to the power plant, and Garrett Morris plays the custodial lady or whatever, and then he enters the reactor, Jimmy Carter, along with the custodial lady, and then the reactor like turns them into these giant people, and then they've like hooked up. So you see like Garrett Morris and Dan Aykroyd, they're like together at the end of the sketch. But you like see them through the window, like they're like they're giants, because of the nuclear reactor. I thought that was pretty. I mean, I even at that young tender age, I thought that was a pretty funny sketch. I paid attention to the news back then. So
I did not.
Well, you're even younger than me.
Not by much, but yeah, I mean, I really didn't start watching SNL until the Mike Meyer, Dana Carvey era.
That tracks.
Wayne's World,
Well,
know,
sure.
that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
But I didn't watch it regularly. It just was not my thing.
I mean, I think that's true for a lot of folks your age.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us, we Gen Xers and things like that. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of an extenuating circumstance because my parents, they would watch Saturday Night Live, and then of course, on the weekends they'd let me stay up late, and they would just let me sit and watch that with them.
I think, yeah, when you're that age, what your parents watch dictates a lot of what you watch too.
Well, they were like, well, it's network television. He's not going to see anything inappropriate,
Yeah.
So,
My dad was busy watching This Old House on PBS, and my mom watched soap operas like Days of Our Lives. So that was the stuff that I watched.
Oh boy.
I know, exciting, isn't it? Actually, This Old House was kind of interesting, but that's beside the point.
No, This Old House, I mean, that's a fun show. I mean, if you're into like renovating and rebuilding and things like that, I watched plenty of Days of Our Lives in my preteen years. Yeah, it sort of helped me. Soap opera sort of helped me with puberty and things like that.
Really,
I don't know. I mean, watching like daytime television, I don't know, those characters are probably not the best example,
no,
or even realistic examples of, but I don't know, there was, Patty was already in my life at that point.
So your sister-in-law.
Yes, my sister-in-law, and Patty and I would, we would watch the soap operas together. We would, especially General Hospital, and then we would like call each other.
That was my mom's other one. It was General,
and then we'd call each other on the phone and talk about it. I don't know. It was just, again, it was just, I don't know. There's something about watching it and just sort of how it sort of shaped my. Maybe I'm having a revelation here, but like, maybe that's one of the reasons why it's just one of those, again, it was just something, society was just punching you in the face with like these heteronormal sort of, and on top of that was just sort of unrealistic dysfunction and that sort of thing. So I don't know, maybe it kind of messed me up, but I don't know. That's a whole other.
Soap operas messed everybody up. Yeah. So,
but anyway, I'm getting way off base.
Yeah, getting back to Saturday night.
Saturday night.
Who should be going to see this movie? Like SNL fans or?
Well, I will say I will build on what I was saying earlier. The nostalgia of it for the geezers, the fogies that were around, and remember, just everything, those first few seasons of SNL that were very significant to pop culture. And we were and all those of us who were around to experience that. I think it's for that audience. It is for that audience, that fans of Saturday Night Live in that particular era. Yeah. Because I know a lot of older folks who aren't really into it now. They're sort of, there's never been a period for me where I just stopped watching Saturday Night Live. I always,
you're always following along, keeping track of who's coming and who's going.
Well, it hit all my buttons because, they had musical guests. Yeah. And so I was, again, it was sort of shaping, it was very useful in my formative years as far as music and things like that. So, another very interesting thing about the film is, they even featured, the characters in it that were like the musical guests.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like,
who were the musical guests?
The musical guests in that first episode, and they actually had two.
Really?
Yes, they had two, and I don't remember how long that lasted.
Yeah, that's a lot to pack in.
Billy Preston and Janice Ian were the musical guests, and John Baptiste beautifully played Billy Preston, and he performs in the film as Billy Preston. He he performs live, on stage, because for the
Rehearsals, yeah.
and things like that. Even the person that played Janice Ian, they showed her rehearsing, and I knew the truth at 17. And then you got the magic of John Baptiste. I think he's magical himself as a musician. He's already very iconic, and then to play someone as iconic as Billy Preston was pretty amazing.
Good casting, I guess.
Yeah. And he gives some medical grade some good medical grade stuff to Garrett Morris.
Just calm the nerves of Skosh,
Yeah. Well, he just kind of passed it on to someone else. But yeah, so very notable performance by John Baptiste in that film, and again, not heavily featured, but just featured enough to really just make a good impression.
Anything else you want to point out to make people want to see this film or avoid it? I don't know. We'll find out soon enough.
Oh no, I don't avoid it. I think everyone should see this film. I think fans of Saturday Night Live, particularly this newer era and generation of Saturday Night Live, I think it's useful for them to see, to get a taste of again the pop culture in it that became so significant. And
this is just a little documentation of history, so you can see how your favorite show started.
Yeah, and this is just the 70s stuff. This is not even the like you were talking about, like the Dana Carvey,
the 80s.
Yeah, the 80s. Yeah, that's a whole other generational kind of pop culture significance with all and so many of those sketches too. But for Saturday Night, just going back to that first era of it, I think
the original first
is I think it makes the nostalgia in it again, I think is worth seeing. And there really is so much. Jim Henson, and I don't know how much you.
That's right. The Muppets were on the first season, supposedly.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, and everybody hated them.
Yes. Jim Henson and Andy Kaufman are both featured as characters in the film. They are both played by Nicholas Braun.
That's great.
Yes, Nicholas Braun plays both Andy Kaufman and Jim Henson, and it's amazing. And Jim Henson is just nobody's taking him seriously, and all the cast and the crew, they're playing pranks on him, and they're doing dirty things to his Muppets and things like that, and it's really upsetting him. And he's just trying to express to Lorne Michaels, it's like, hey, why does all this have to be for children? It's like I think this could be for adults too, and things like that. But again, it was just sort of to sort of see Jim Henson's plight and sort of dealing with nobody taking him seriously.
None of the writers were like, we don't want to write for these people.
He had a very tough time with the writers. Writers wouldn't write anything for him. Like that. He kept asking Lorne in that hour and a half, he'd pop up and he's like, I don't have any script yet, And then, poor Lorne Michaels was like, oh, that'll be imminent, don't worry, it'll happen. Because he is just, Lorne Michaels is either he's putting out fires, he's dealing with executives, I mean, when I say putting out fires, like
literally putting out fires. Yes. Oh my goodness.
And but I'm not telling you anything that's not in the trailers or anything. But yeah, Nicholas Braun as Jim Henson, and as Andy Kaufman too is brilliant. Like his Andy Kaufman is like, I always liked Andy Kaufman, and I think my experience with Andy Kaufman was Latka from Taxi, and and the way he always talked like this, and I just, as a kid, I just thought Andy Kaufman really talked like that, and he was talking like that through the entire film. Like whatever scenes he was
doing it.
he was in that character.
Oh, that's weird.
You know, and
but then again, it's Andy Kaufman, so it doesn't surprise me.
And he was dressed in that very Andy Kaufman iconic kind of like a tan leisure suit, and it sort of has that ascot thing that he was always wearing,
like he wore it for the Mighty Mouse
that is
song.
featured in the film.
Oh, that was there too.
Yes, he did. He puts on he does it as kind of an icebreaker, you know, before the show starts, because things are getting really tense between the executive who's played by Willem Dafoe.
Oh, jeez.
And there's a lot of tension between like Willem Dafoe and the Gabriel LaBelle character, Lorne Michaels, and Andy Kaufman just sort of breaks the ice and he puts on that record, and then, you know, he does that thing, "Here I come to save the day," and then of course he just patiently waits until he gets to sing that again, you know, lip sync that again. But no, I mean, that's such an iconic piece of 1970s history, which again I think contributes to why I say like Andy Kaufman was just so genius and so brilliant, and just sort of had a sense of humor that like not everybody got, but
definitely not.
I really liked it, but I do like that he was featured. But I think one of the points I'm trying to make, like mentioning Jim Henson and sort of talking, like we all know Jim Henson sort of had those struggles of people trying to take him seriously. Like he pitched the Muppet Show to like every American, you know, every American, you know, broadcast outlet, and they just rejected it.
Yep.
You know, I mean,
it's puppets for kids, you know,
and
even titling the pilot that he sent around "Sex and Violence"
to show that in. So that it goes back to what I was saying. Sort of goes back to, I think that was just a little much for the film. The fact that he had to they fit in that into the film where he was playing in the Lorne Michaels, that nobody takes him seriously. I mean, it's fine if he wanted to go on about how I don't like how they're doing obscene things to my Muppets and that sort of thing, but I don't know, the stuff where he had to talk about like, you know, no one takes me seriously, this could be for adults too. I don't know that was necessary. I just saw another countdown. So.
That's okay. Yeah, well, somebody was calling you, so that it stopped your video.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
Does it catch up again?
Yeah, I think so. Right. If it counted down again, you should be back in. Anyways.
So, yeah, I don't know how to mute all that.
That's why I tell you to put it on airplane mode.
Oh, I see. I forgot to do that this time.
That's okay.
Okay.
I'll remind you next time.
Thank you. Record. Yeah, it's a learning experience. And viewers, you are privy to my learning experience. So anyway, so you get my point, what I was saying. I think it just added too much to the film. Like I like that Jim Henson and Andy Kaufman are both featured in it, and he's played by the same actor.
Yeah, that's kind of brilliant.
But
when you have like an E plot and an F plot, it starts to get a little bit much.
And it didn't take very long for him to like discuss that with Lorne Michaels. But again, I think it was a little much.
Yeah,
because we didn't have all that with Andy Kaufman. You know, we just, you know, Andy Kaufman he's in the beginning of the film. He enters the building with Lorne Michaels, and then he kind of disappears for a while.
Yeah,
and then he comes back and says, "Here I come to save the day." You know. And that's fine. And that's great. I think that's perfect. We didn't need any sort of additional, you know, background on Andy,
right.
and Andy Kaufman. So yeah, the sort of added frustrations of Jim Henson was a little unnecessary, I think. Yeah. So that I
had to be there because he was a part of the show. So
yes. But you know, that aside, again, a solid 3-star film.
Yeah.
It's funny, I want to mention.
Yeah.
This played in Toronto.
Okay.
Kevin saw it.
All right.
And there was a lot of buzz. There was a lot of buzz, and a lot of people were losing their minds over Saturday night, and they were talking award-worthy sort of things for this film.
Interesting.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
I don't see it.
Not your thing.
Well, that's not that it's. I like the film. I just don't know that it's award worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be different if people were fighting diseases or divorcing or something like that. Then it would be a more dramatic to get people's attention. But
well, I mean, I think there are plenty of good ensemble performances that aren't heavy,
yeah,
that are award worthy. This just wasn't it. This
Yeah.
just isn't one of them.
What is the award ceremony that does the ensemble cast, best ensemble cast?
I know Spirit Awards does that, and
I don't think this would win a Spirit Award.
Oh no, this is not one of those.
No.
I think it's Golden Globes. I think Golden Globes.
Do you think they would get it for that?
I don't know for sure that it's Golden Globes, but there is a very mainstream award ceremony that gives an ensemble award. It very well might. It very well might with the buzz out of Toronto.
It'll get something like that.
It may get something. It will get a nomination, maybe even an award, but I don't know. I don't feel like I touched enough on the actors that are playing the original cast members.
Yeah, who are they?
Corey Michael Smith. His Chevy Chase is brilliant.
Spot on, or
it is kind of spot on.
All right.
Again, it sort of has that arrogance that that Chevy Chase had then, that charming kind of arrogance that that wasn't quite asshole yet. Again, it was still very, very charming,
very Fletch-like,
because he wanted to. But his ego was quite big, and the way he's portrayed in the film, there is a lot of opportunistic sort of tendencies in his character. But he's got the when Lorne Michaels taps him to do Weekend Update, that scene where he's practicing that for the first time. And it's very, again, the nostalgia of it. He does a very good job at his portrayal of Chevy Chase. I think would definitely bring you back to what Chevy Chase was like on Saturday Night Live in that first season. It's also funny too. Corey Michael Smith, I think he is one of those character actors that he just sort of is a supporting character in all kinds of things, television shows, films, and he looks different in everything. And the thing is, I completely forgot, and I think my husband helped me remember this, because Jason, of course, being a comic book enthusiast, watched Gotham.
Oh, okay.
And Corey Michael Smith was the Riddler on Gotham. So, and then I actually watched some of Gotham with Jason, and I remember that I was like, oh my gosh, it was him, wasn't it? So it's weird, because again, he looks nothing like Chevy Chase in Gotham, but he looks like Chevy Chase in this film, in Saturday Night,
I guess.
I want to mention Lamorne Morris. Lamorne Morris is probably one of the more established actors in this film.
Okay.
He's pretty well known as Winston on New Girl, and we all know how popular that show was. He's been on Fargo. Again, a very popular series. He's been in all kinds of different films, Game Night especially. Just he's no stranger to comedy. And his Garrett Morris portrayal was really good. Because again, the Garrett Morris character was pretty much going from he would have discussions with Lily Preston, and he'd have discussions with other cast members, and he's like, what am I doing here? Again, I went to Juilliard. I've done Shakespeare, I've sung opera. Am I just token black guy on this show? What am I doing here? But he also sort of captures that magic of Garrett Morris. He's got all the kill the white people and that. So all that stuff, we love that about Garrett Morris. I mean, Garrett Morris was sort of one of the pioneers at at like bashing white people, and and when they they did those in the beginning of the film too. You see like interviews of each of the cast members, and you remember some of the you remember kind of bits and pieces of these interviews, in the real life interviews, but to see them portrayed in the film was so fun. And then when you see Lamorne Morris as Garrett Morris being interviewed, he's like, yeah, there's like, you white people, the mistreatment of black people, and I know you white folks feel guilty, so send money to me, like, I'm kind of paraphrasing, but that's what you remember. He said that. He's like, yeah, so send money, to me, send so that all that stuff, it brings it all back for me again, which is the best thing about the film. It's just the nostalgia level. Let's see. Matt Woods John Belushi was quite good.
Yeah.
I mean, he had all of John Belushi's like manic kind of just
drug-addled weirdness.
Yeah, and the rage. And he was very Lorne Michaels couldn't get John Belushi to sign his contract before at least that's what's in the film. He couldn't get him to sign a contract up, and it was already like so close to the beginning of the show, and he still couldn't get him to sign his contract and everything. But Belushi is just having all these issues, because he's he and Chevy Chase don't get along, and then again he's like, I'm not doing this. I'm not dressing up like a bee. I'm not. This is I'm. So it's sort of what I said at the beginning of all this. It's like you kind of show. It kind of shows like where they were at that time and figuring out like, okay, I did all this, and obviously this was a breakthrough for all of them.
Oh yeah.
Yes. This all brought them into, for pretty much all of them. It sort of, the stratosphere success, of what Saturday Night Live did for the original cast.
Did anybody know at the time what they were doing?
But that's just it. That's kind of what's fun about the portrayals of the first five, is because John Belushi, Garrett Morris, they don't realize that this is gonna do for their careers. They're just like, why am I here? Why do I have to do this?
This is silly.
Yeah.
It's another paycheck though, so
Kim Matula is a great Jane Curtin. I think she there's some time where Jane Curtin and Garrett Morris are having a conversation, and she's pretty much just, he asks her like pretty much what she's doing and how she feels about being here. And she pretty much does an entire monologue of everything she's done with her career, as far as like she recites all her commercials and just all the you also too in the commercials and some of the things that she's saying and some of the things that she had to do, there's it's just a lot of sexist sort of chauvinistic kind of stuff. And after she spews, like she gives us her entire resume of everything up until
everything she's had to deal with,
tapped to Saturday Night Live. She looks at him. That's pretty much how she answered her question. She goes, I'm on this show, I'm doing this because I've had to do that all my career. That's what I spent my 20s doing. I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
so that's a great scene.
Nice.
It's a really great scene. And yeah, I mean, it's Cooper Hoffman as Dick Ebersol. He's Dick Ebersol in the film is, I don't know, you sort of have mixed feelings for him, because he's trying to help. He's trying to assist Lorne in trying to make everything happen and get it. get the show on the air,
Mhm.
you know, but at the same time, he's like dealing with the executives and things like that. And he's got to figure out how to be more marketable and that sort of thing.
Right.
And the marketing stuff is offending John Belushi and all this sort of stuff. It's just all the artistic integrity of it and everything. And so there's that struggle there. And Cooper Hoffman, of course, is probably most famous for Licorice Pizza, which came out in 2021. So I'm trying to think. There's probably one more thing I want to mention about this film. I don't want to leave out.
Okay.
While I'm thinking of that, though, is there anything else you would like to ask?
Well, is now a good time to ask you the question of the show?
No, this is a good time. Sure.
All right. So you have your 24-hour film festival from Saturday afternoon, noon, to Sunday at noon. Do you show it, and when?
I think for the buzziness of the film, you know, this is a very buzzworthy film.
Mm-hmm.
And because of what it's about,
Mm-hmm.
This needs to be shown late on Saturday.
Hmm.
This is like a 10 o'clock screening. This could even be a Midnight Madness.
Yeah,
because
or start showing at 11:30 like the normal show,
the normal show is. Yeah.
Or heck, show it to an hour and a half before then, and just roll right into the actual Saturday Night Live.
Perhaps. I will say the end of the film was a nice treat.
Yeah,
the end of the film was a nice treat. It's a nice homage to how the show has always been introduced to us through all, you know, these 50 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how as far as like the cold open, the you know, the scenes of the streets of New York at night, and then, you know, then the announcement of all the performers, all the, you know, all the players and that sort of thing. The ending of the film is a nice kind of homage to that, and nice. How it sort of merges with the credits and everything like that. So
that's cool.
But yeah, in answer to your question again, I this would be a late showing. In fact, this is a midnight. I think this is a midnight match.
It's a Saturday night showing of a Saturday night.
This is a midnight show. Okay. There's enough chaos and craziness in it, and again, all the pop culture stuff. I can see people, you know, movie enthusiasts, SNL enthusiasts, you know, dressed up as like the Bumblebee and other things, and again, I don't want to give too much away, other than, go see it, you know, because there's origins. There's even origins of things that became very pop culturally significant in the film that you will be delighted to see, you know. And it's just, even though you know, you don't really just the origins, and then like, so the writers developing sort of things, it's like, oh, okay,
things that you take for granted now that actually came up and were born at that time.
Absolutely. So
very intriguing then. So definitely a love letter to live television, comedy television.
Yeah, well, it's a love letter to Saturday Night Live, especially it's, you know, that early era of it. Oh, I did want to mention Dylan O'Brien as Dan Aykroyd.
Okay.
Again, spot on. Spot on, Dan Aykroyd. I mean, just the way he talked, just sort of Dan Aykroyd. I don't know, you know, I can't impersonate Dan Aykroyd, but
it's hard to do.
Yeah, but he had that down, and you know, it's Dylan O'Brien too. I think he's a good pick for Dan Aykroyd because he was probably one of the more I know, like, as iconically, you know, more sort of classically handsome at that particular time. So I don't know. I always thought Dan Aykroyd was kind of cute. Like, up until like the first Ghostbusters. But Dylan O'Brien, you know, he's a teen idol. I mean, we're talking the Maze Runner films, Teen Wolf, that sort of thing.
Dear.
So he's a good pick. So I think he but you know, he does a little bit of everything. Like, you know, he's done the pretty boy stuff, but he's been doing more things that serious actors want to do. And Saturday Night is definitely one of them. In fact, his portrayal of Dan Aykroyd is probably sheds more of a negative light on him than it does Chevy Chase, because he makes Dan Aykroyd almost like a I don't know. I get this. There's something very chauvinist, kind of a toxic masculinity kind of thing, because, you know, he's going around slapping the girls on the butt and stuff like that.
Dear.
But then there are scenes where they're all like slapping each other on the butt. But I don't know. It seemed more emphasized in the movie on the Dan Aykroyd character.
Maybe it's just because you're so used to him being Ray Stantz, you know, naive and wholesome.
I guess so. But yeah, but he had his look down too, you know, those chops that Aykroyd had, you know, and they all kind of captured the essence of each of those original performers.
Good characterization.
Yeah, good characterization. Cool. So yeah, I think that's it. I don't want to say too much more about it.
Go see the film, I guess.
Yes, please go see the film. It is it gets nationwide release October 11th. That's like this Friday.
Oh wow.
So in theaters, go see it, kids.
Excellent. Well, on that note, thanks for watching this episode of Bad Pop Song, and be sure to check out the film. Also, be sure to check out our website, badpopsong.com. The latest episodes, links to the shows, links to the songs, films, and whatever nonsense we talk about. Be sure to subscribe and like this video. It helps us out. Get us into the algorithm. Tune in next time when Bo continues to take us on the wondrous magic carpet ride of the wonderful film. Nostalgia. Who knows?
And musical cringe will be back too. So
excellent.
Have no fear.
Until then, I'm Dan.
I'm Bo.
Have fun.
Stay groovy.